Masons have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. So we are fighting. That's why I said to deal with this DEI situation. You must be disciplined and do studying, because unless you do structural change, we'll keep coming right back to this over and over again. I spoke Wednesday night at Yale University, and I told them students, some of those brightest students in the country, Yale, Harvard, I spoke at Yale, and told them there is a structural problem, which is why Trump and Vance and President Elon Musk, they can come in and put us backward because the structure was never corrected. They walk in the door and say NDI, because structurally they can make that stand. We've got to break the corporate world from doing it and then straighten out the structure of how this country is. Why we ought to be sending people to Congress is not sending them to Congress because they had the robocalls call your house, but they're committed to the structural change of this country. What Trump is successful on is playing on a weak structure, so he can make it go either way. It should not be so unclear that you can play the game either set away. It must be firm that you got to repair the damage done to the children of the slave and straighten out the structure that we are not 3/5 human. We are full human beings that built this country and never got paid. That's what reparations is.
Thank God I was blessed to have both in my life, both historic, strong figures. But if I misuse them and listen to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. What I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who who you allow to enter your head.
It's Wednesday, July 29th. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keepin' It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to all of you across the country, and good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to all those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm Dominique Sharpton. I'm Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter, coming to you live and direct from National Action Network's corporate headquarters in New York City. And I'm certainly delighted to join you this afternoon as we are persevering and really working diligently on the ground every day in our respective areas, working, mobilizing, energizing, inspiring the change that we wish to see, and making progress a reality for all of us. I am sitting in the hot seat for the Rev today. Reverend Sharpton is out today. Many of you know Rev had surgery this morning on his meniscus. Rev was going hard in the paint, and he tore his meniscus and had surgery this morning, but Rev is doing very well. Surgery went successfully well, and Rev is recuperating, and certainly we wish Rev speedy recovery and always praying for him to be his best. And we know that Rev is certainly a strong individual. And we are just grateful that the surgery went well. Rev is doing well, and he will be back with us tomorrow. But I'm sitting in the hot seat taking your calls today. We got a lot to talk about and certainly want to get into the action. And as always, you can join us in conversation by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. You can also join us and write your comments today on the message board as folks are watching us all over the country via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. Certainly want to get into some of the top stories as we continue to discuss things that are pertinent to us and our mobilization and our organization and our activism and our activities all matter. But we must be true to ourselves, and we must speak truth to power. And there's certainly a lot going on that we need to discuss, that we need to organize around, that we need to educate each other on, and we need to be about that business, right? And so certainly we know that there's a lot going on, and I want to talk about, let's begin certainly with the escalating conflict between the United States and Iran. I feel like this is one of those stories that you know can change very quickly, right? And so the language being used by our leaders also matters. And so according to today's reporting, Iran launched a surprise ballistic missile attack targeting American forces in Jordan. Now, the U.S. military, y'all, says that the missiles were intercepted and that no American casualties were reported from this particular attack. Now, President Trump has responded by promising that Iran would face a major response using language about Iran getting a beating. U.S. and Saudi forces also struck Iran, aligned militia targets and facilities in Iraq. So, the immediate good news is that American forces were not killed in this specific barrage, but we can't mistake a successful interception for a resolution of the crisis. Iran's attack also represented another major escalation in a conflict that has already included American strikes, Iranian retaliation, and attacks on shipping, and also mounting pressures around the Strait of Hormuz. Now, reporting also indicates that the confrontation is complicating diplomatic efforts and also placing additional strain on American defensive resources. Now, the distinction that we need to understand is between a proxy attack and a direct state attack. Now, for years, Iran has exerted influence through militia groups and allied organizations throughout the region, and that gives Tehran a degree of distance and plausible deniability. But when missiles are launched by Iran directly toward American forces, that confrontation, of course, becomes much more dangerous. And it also narrows the distance between provocation and retaliation. And it also raises the chance that one miscalculation, a missile that gets through, an intelligence failure, an attack that kills a large number of troops could also dramatically expand this war. And we need to be honest, because once American lives are lost, certainly, the political pressure on any president to retaliate becomes astronomical, it becomes enormous. And so that doesn't necessarily mean that retaliation is wrong, but it does mean that the country can move from a limited military response to a wider war between the public that has fully understood what's happening. So the most important question here is not simply, how hard should America hit back? I think the most important question is, what is this objective? What's the objective? Are we simply trying to protect the American forces? Are we trying to reopen the Strait of Hormuz? Are we attempting to force Iran into a ceasefire? Are we trying to weaken Iran's government? Are we seeking a new nuclear agreement, or are we moving toward regime change? So those are all completely different goals, and I feel like they require different strategies, different commitments, different levels of sacrifice. But one of the mistakes America has made in the past wars is allowing the objective to really change after military action begins. So the public is first told that the goal is protection. Then it becomes deterrence. Then it becomes nation building. Then we are all told that withdrawing would simply dishonor the people who have already sacrificed. So that is how a limited mission can become a so-called forever war. And I feel with the civil rights movement in particular, first of all, the civil rights movement has never been disconnected from questions of war and peace. It doesn't mean that civil rights leaders should ignore threats to American troops, and National Action Network, certainly have supported and stood by and even vocalized in many instances the safety of those serving this country, and many of whom, come from Black and brown and working class families. But supporting our troops must also mean refusing to send them into military operations without clearly defined goals, proper congressional authority, and achievable exit strategy. And so patriotism is not simply cheering the use of force. Patriotism is demanding that government value the lives of our service members enough not to treat them as instruments of political messaging. These are our family members, our brothers, our sisters, our children. And so I really do feel, do you feel really that intercepted attack with no American deaths require a major military response? What would a proportionate response even look like? And I feel like, even can the United States even simultaneously threaten Iran and negotiate with Iran? And are these strong words from a president a sign of deterrence, or can they simply trap the country into escalation? And so I think that, the strength of a commander-in-chief is not only measured by the ability to start or expand a war, it's also measured by the judgment to know the difference, to know the difference between necessary force political theater, and reckless escalation. So here we are. And certainly I feel like, we're at a time where we can't take anything for granted. We're getting on buses all over the country going to Washington, D.C. We have to stand up to defend the vote. We have to stand up to ensure that the liberties of our people are protected. And when we are talking about war and peace, I feel like we are a lot more subjected, obviously, to the peaceful conversation than the conversation about war. But we are one who is very in tune with the struggle and how we must continuously defend ourselves and our rights and the lives of our people and the lives of our children. And so I feel like, this is something that, we really can't ignore. And I feel like, as things continue to escalate or as, negotiations and conversations continue to be had, I feel like we want to be on the right side of knowing what's going on in the very least. And I feel like keeping the American people out of it is hindering us a great deal. Because, sometimes people hear foreign policy or a foreign policy story and they say, that's happening overseas. But what does that have to do with me? It has everything to do with us. It has everything to do with you when the conflict touches the global energy supply. And we're going to talk about that too. Dominique Sharpton here. I'm sitting in for Reverend Al, taking your calls across the country. You can certainly join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Breaking news. The issues, the stories affecting you.
I want to turn the floor over to you, Mr. Well, thank you, President Dr. Kimber, and to all of you on the board. I wanted to personally make this appeal from National Action Network and Martin Luther King III and Andrea Waters King, that we've been moving around the country organizing to deal with the question of redistricting when they have used the Supreme Court now to redraw lines that will in many ways break up majority black voting districts. It means that they dilute the strength of our community. It will cost probably 19 members of the Congressional Black Caucus. But as important, if not more important, it will not address the needs of those constituents because they don't have a block vote to say we're going to put in somebody that wants to do what is right for us or not. And that does not necessarily all the time mean a black person, but it gives them power. In Memphis, Tennessee, the majority black district congressman supported and reelected several times by the blacks there was a white man named Cohen. So we see this as an undoing of the Voting Rights Act of 65 and the Civil Rights Act of 64. So on August 28th, we've asked people from around the country to join us in Washington, D.C. for a mass march. We've had some marches and rallies in Mississippi, some in Montgomery and Selma, but we need a national march led by the clergy, led by the faith leaders, like it was in the 60s, that will say it is a moral outrage that we would, in a time like this, disenfranchise wholesale black voters by repealing the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act and by turning the time back. We've heard from a lot of groups, but we need this to be church-led. National Action Network is appealing to you, the president. Reverend Dr. Boise Kimber has been on our board for years and knows this well, and the many of you that are on the board. But we need to send a national message in a peaceful, nonviolent gathering led by the clergy, along with Dr. King's son, along with his daughter-in-law, and along with other leaders. But it's time to dramatize it. We see the No Kings March. We see everybody out there rallying. Where's our voice when we're the ones being disenfranchised? We're the ones being attacked. And I think that if we would stand up, the people will step up because the people understand the gravity of the hour. And I think that we are called upon at this point in history to do what those leaders of the black church did before our time and in our childhood. So I thank you, President Kimball, for giving me an opportunity to make the appeal to the board itself. You have the information. We're going to have buses from all over the country. Those churches that have buses, we give information. Those that don't, we're willing to help supply them. But we need to show a big number right in the nation's capital. History should not say they stripped us of everything and there was not a national response led by the black church. Thank you very much for these few minutes.
I've been to the Essence Festival since 1995. I came that year with my mentor and we spoke. Well, he died in February this year, but I want to continue what he taught us, because even when times look bad, even when they look dark, I remember what my mentor taught me, Reverend Jesse Jackson. He said, keep hope alive. Even if you can't figure it out, keep hope alive. Even if it doesn't look like you can make it, keep hope alive. In memory of Jesse Jackson, say that with me tonight. Let him know on July 4th from New Orleans, keep hope alive. 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 Thank you, God.
It gets dark sometimes, but the morning comes. Don't you surrender. Suffering breeds character. Character breeds faith. In the end, faith will not disappoint. You must not surrender. You may or may not get there, but just know that you're qualified and you hold on and hold out. We must never surrender. America will get better and better. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. On tomorrow night and beyond. Keep hope alive. I love you very much. I love you very much.
It is really a intersection of both emotions, because when I was 11 or 12 years old, so I watched the news a lot and I became enthralled with the image of Adam Clayton Powell. I was around 11 and I convinced my mother to let me come up to this church to see Adam Clayton Powell. And in those days, people in Brooklyn used to say it's dangerous to go to Harlem. And folk in Harlem say it's dangerous to go to Brooklyn. Now, to 135th Street, and I came, sat right back there, and Adam Clayton Powell walked down this platform. And I remember after the church, in those days, Johnson, the pastor's study was right inside with the plexiglass, and I knocked on the door and I told the secretary I wanted to meet Reverend Powell. She looked down this little 11-year-old boy. She said, really? She said, who should I say? I said, Reverend Al Sharpton.
Black power means dignity. Means we're gonna walk side by side with you, or through you. We're gonna be with dignity and integrity. We don't want any more than you have, and we're not gonna accept any less than you have. That's my power.
Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter. I'm sitting in for Rev today. Rev just had surgery this morning. He had a torn meniscus, and Rev got some surgery this morning, but don't panic. Rev is doing well. I spoke with him many times throughout the morning. They put him under some anesthesia, so he couldn't come on and do the show today. He's got to actually rest. Funny to say that, because it's interesting to see how my dad will actually rest. I'm sure he's jumping in, trying to get on, keeping it real and talk to y'all, but I'm sitting in the hot seat in the meantime, taking your calls. We got a lot to discuss and want to hear from you, and certainly you can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532 5797 1-877-532-5797. I had spoken to Rev a little after he got out of surgery, and he was, just giving his orders and jumping on phone calls and, doing all the things. So, Rev, please relax today. Take it easy. We are glad that the surgery was successful. And certainly we are praying for your speedy recovery, and know that you are with us always, and we are with you. But wanting to give everybody that update. Rev is fine. He is doing really well. Just had to go under anesthesia, and so he is resting per the doctor's orders. And we are going to hold Rev to that and not bother him. Try not to bother him too much today while he gets some rest. But he will be back with us tomorrow. And certainly thank you all for your prayers, concerns, and for always your support. Rev was going hard in the paint. I was telling y'all, he was going hard in the paint, tore his meniscus, but the surgery was successful. And thank you for all of you for asking and for your prayers and concern. But as I was saying, we were talking about what was going on, with this war. And as I was saying, sometimes, when we talk about foreign policy, people don't, really want to or feel like they relate to it. It's like, what does that have to do with me? And how can we continue to have these discussions, right, without feeling, some type of tension. And so, but like I said, I feel like it has everything to do with us, and certainly the Strait of Hormuz is a crucial passage for oil and natural gas shipments. And so when tanker traffic is threatened, insurers raise their prices, and shipping companies obviously become more cautious. But oil traders also anticipate shortages, and those costs eventually reach ordinary consumers, us. And so Iran has been accused of interfering with tanker traffic, and while Iran aligned Houthi forces have threatened shipping elsewhere in the region. But recent fighting has contributed to the increased oil prices and renewed concern, obviously, about the security of international shipping routes. And so higher oil prices don't stop at the gas pump. They affect also the airline tickets. They affect heating and cooling costs. So right now, it's hot, and we want the air condition. We want to, be cool when it's hot, and we want to be hot when it's cool. But they also affect food. They affect food because the farmers use the fuel, and food must also be transported, right? They also affect, the price of goods that are delivered by a truck. So how many goods are delivered by trucks? So many. They affect public transportation budgets. And so all over, we're seeing the increase of, I think, an Amtrak ticket for 2 stops now could cost you over $100. And so they also affect small businesses, that can't necessarily absorb sudden increases in operating expenses. And inflation, ladies and gentlemen, is not experienced equally, right? And so a wealthy household may complain about higher gasoline prices, but that family can probably, absorb the increase in most cases, right? But a working mother who has already stretched, every dollar may have to choose between putting enough gas in the car to get to work, and buying everything on the grocery list. And so, that is why foreign policy decisions are also very, very much heavily economic justice decisions. And we must ask, who fights these wars? Who bears the cost of this? And military service has certainly long provided this pathway to education, to employment, and to stability for Black and working class families. Now, that service also deserves respect because I feel like it also means that those same communities who can bear a disproportionate human cost when the country enters prolonged conflict. Meanwhile, corporations connected to defense and logistics and energy may certainly profit from this instability. So that doesn't necessarily mean, right, that every defense contract is corrupt. It doesn't necessarily mean that every energy company is exploiting a crisis, right? But it does mean that the public should examine who sacrifices, who profits, who gets to make these decisions. 1-877-532-5797. Brother Jacob, we're going to you listening to us from Philadelphia on WURD. You're keeping it real. Good afternoon, Brother Jacob.
Peace be unto you, Sister Dominique, and I always say to your father's global listeners, peace be unto you. The story you just gave us on your dad, I pray that he start getting his rest that he needs. And you know what? In the government, when the president has to have a procedure and he got to go under anesthesia, the vice president takes over, right? So I can say that Rev is blessed with a damn good vice president in his baby girl, oldest daughter, Dominique Sharpton. So, and you know what? Not that I'm glad that he ain't there, but I'm glad that I get a chance to talk to you, a young African-American woman that's just so intelligent that you make me smile,
Thank
but
you.
I just wanted to get that off my chest right quick,
Thank
but
you, sir. Means a lot.
let me ask you a question, Sister Dominic. If you know that a person is a habitual liar, right, would you believe anything they say?
No. See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But
what I'm
sometimes,
saying?
Brother Jacob, let me take that a little further. Because sometimes, how a habitual liar will kind of ease some of the truth in it sometimes. So it's kind of like you have to kind of literally go on a limbo and you have to differentiate, well, what's real and what's the truth and what's not. And when this habitual liar is in a powerful stance, in a powerful position, it's difficult sometimes to differentiate. Well, is this a lie or is this presumably the truth? Because aren't you supposed to be in a position of power and be truthful? Ultimately, ethical at least. So you try to give it the benefit of the doubt, and you take, I think, all the information you hear, you take it with a grain of salt, right? Or sand, because that something may be, something may be untruthful about this, but you also have a benefit of the doubt to believe that, okay, maybe something in here is worth me listening to, or something in here I must need to know, right?
Yeah. But you know what, Sister Dominic, now, the devil himself used truth. The devil know who God is.
Absolutely.
Because he the one that asked God to give him license to do what he do. And it was given to him. But, we always talk in America about regime change in other countries. We need a regime change right here in America, right? You look, what kind of people, the American leaders, would spend $100 billion on a war that wasn't needed.
Right.
But when it comes to helping American people, they vote and say no to stuff like, they did a survey. They said that $10 billion could just about help get rid of homelessness. We know we need our children educated.
Yeah.
The health care, they say no. The food to be this and everything that no. But what kind of leaders do that? You talking about regime change?
Right.
When VP Harris was running, she had programs to help America realize, the dream. The preschool for working mothers, free. Everything, money for homes, everything that's not. They said no. They come up with, well, she laughs funny. And when Obama was in there, worst thing they got against the Obama family, well, he wore a tan suit. And she had a dress, with her arms out. You know what, Dominique? I'm a Muslim, but I pray that for Christmas, see, November is coming, but by Christmas time, I pray that America has given America one of the greatest Christmas gifts of all time, and that's give the Democrats the control of the House and the Senate.
Oh, yes.
What you think?
Yes, I do. I believe that. Thank you so much, Brother Jacob. But every time I got a lot to say. We're going to take this break, though. I hear the music is playing. We got folks holding on. If you want to join in on the conversation, call us at 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000.
I'm surprised to see you here.
Kathy Birds.
Yeah, Kathy Birds.
How are you?
And my lovely wife, Lisa.
So we are fighting. That's why I said to deal with this DEI situation, you must be disciplined and do studying, because unless you do structural change, we'll keep coming right back to this over and over again. I spoke Wednesday night at Yale University, and I told them students, some of those brightest students in the country, Yale, Harvard, I spoke at Yale, and told them there is a structural problem, which is why Trump and Vance and President Elon Musk, they can come in and put us backward because the structure was never corrected. They walk in the door and say NDI, because structurally they can make that stand. We've got to break the corporate world from doing it and then straighten out the structure of how this country is. Why we ought to be sending people to Congress is not sending them to Congress because they had the robocalls call your house, but they're committed to the structural change of this country. What Trump is successful on is playing on a weak structure, so he can make it go either way. It should not be so unclear that you can play the game either set of way. It must be firm that you got to repair the damage done to the children of the slave and straighten out the structure that we are not 3/5 human. We are full human beings that built this country and never got paid. That's what reparations is.
And I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what
people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes blacks. We don't want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight in the courts and the streets, because they're literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions. This whole fight around DEI, which they started at Harvard with a black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, the ACP people put forward together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation, then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this.
That I want to end. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
I'll tell you that.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected. If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't have worked. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to the knee bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If we are to prophesy to the wind, we must first connect this body. We must connect Eddie Long to Farrakhan and Cornel West to Elders and Lowry to Sharpton. If we can connect this body, then God will blow the breath of life into our community. But as long as we are disconnected, the wind can't blow because it's blowing on disconnected dry bones. But the good news is that we're the children of people that have been through worse than this, and we're still here. So even though I get despondent, I don't ever get depressed, because I want the world to know you won't beat us, because we're the children of those that took the worst form of slavery and brutality that ever lived, that ever existed. Our parents survived the Middle Passage. Only the strong got here, and then we lost our name, our culture, our religion, and we're still here. But you don't know who we are. We're the children of Chaka Zulu. We're the children of Mary McLeod Bethune. We're the children of Marcus Garvey. We're the children of Martin Luther King. We'll be here. We were first and we'll be last. We know who we are.
You're live.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter, sitting in for the Rev today. Rev is home resting after a successful surgery, repairing his meniscus. But we know that we've got a lot of marching to do and a lot of organizing to do. And we need Rev to get his rest today, because we got to get him up and get him moving. And we certainly need and value and appreciate his leadership and everything that he does to keep us on the move, certainly. So speedy recovery to Rev. But I'm sitting in the hot seat taking your calls across the country. And certainly you can join in on the conversation today by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, or you can hit us up on the message board. A lot of folks are writing their comments as they are watching us via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. Certainly, and before the break, Brother Jacob, thank you for alluding to this, but I wanted to continue this part of the discussion. And before we went, I was cut off by the break. But I was going to say that the Constitution gives Congress obviously the power to declare war, and presidents also possess authority to respond to immediate threats and also protect American forces. But for decades, Congress, Brother Jacob, has avoided taking full responsibility. And members of Congress often want this political benefit of supporting the troops without really taking a difficult vote about the mission. And so, and then, if this operation fails, they can blame the president. But if it succeeds, then of course they claim that they supported it. But that's not accountability, not accountability at all. And I feel like members of Congress should have to tell the public, should have to be transparent to the public, about this military action they support, about what legal authority, certainly justifies that, how long the authorizations should last, what conditions would end it. There's a lot. And I feel like National Action Network and certainly, we at NAN, we talk about, protecting voting rights and civil rights and workers' rights and economic opportunity. And certainly those issues I feel are affected when national priorities even shift almost entirely toward military conflict. So you can't tell communities that there's no money for public schools, for affordable housing, for youth programs or violence prevention, while military operations continue without transparent budgets or clearly even defined endpoints. And I certainly feel like this is not a choice between national security and civil rights, but it's a responsible nation. As a responsible nation, we must protect both of them. 1-877-532-5797. I see y'all lit up on the message board, and I want to also get your comments in. Let's go back to the phones and speak with Brother Rick from Germany. As always, brother, it's good speaking with you. You're keeping it real. Good afternoon, Brother Rick.
Good day, Dominique. Good day. Can you hear me okay, sis?
I sure can.
Okay. The last time you were on, you made some comments about American politicians and the social safety net and what Americans deserve in the way of education, health care, reasonable and affordable housing, and a few other things. But I just want to say to you that the American politicians can't find the money for those things because they're not looking.
Right.
America is not a socialist country yet. And I believe that socialism should come. I believe that socialism must come to block nuclear war and survive the coming physical threats of pestilence engineered by Americans and Europeans and Israelis. I believe that socialism must come, and it should come, to deal with climate change, global warming, and regenerative farming as a means of hope for the planet, not just Black Americans. Mm-hmm. And I will say in closing, I pray that as your father slows down physically, that his mind keeps active with his radio program and his television program, that they keep him busy, keep him mentally fit, because it's hard work to do a radio show 5 days a week, a television program 2 days a week, and the National Action Network all in between that. So I pray that he keep active, and when it's his time to quit, I hope he recognizes it before they put him out. I'm done, sis.
I hear you, brother. Thank you so much, Brother Rick. But I don't know about that. Rev is Rev. No, y'all know Rev is the Rev. And I think that he's lived up to exactly that upholding that title with honor and dignity, for sure. But Brother Rick brought something up, and I wanted to get back to. Thank you for your call. But really, how much financial sacrifice should Americans be asked to make? And yes, we hear, all the time, like as you said, and we discussed it, no money for public school education, no money for, healthcare reforms, no money for, adequate housing and ensuring that, everyone has, access to quality housing, so many things. But then they find money for what they want to find money for. But, the financial burden, then gets passed on to us. And how much sacrifice financially, should we be asked to make as they try to figure stuff out? I think that, we are missing the fact that, we are in this too. All of us are involved because it's hitting us too. It's hitting our pockets. And so you talking about mental stability, how messed up is that? How do we continue to persevere, talking about, keeping up our mental stability if we're constantly hit, from all angles across the board with all of this. It's a lot. It's a lot to put on us, American people, and it's a lot to have to endure. And we are strong people. I feel we the strongest people to ever be created by God. But I feel like, it's like at some point, we have got to draw the line. Well, how much more are we going to endure? 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Want to jump in. The message board is lit up talking about Fauci, and certainly want to talk about, Fauci invoking the fifth. He appeared before a Senate committee hearing, chaired by Senator Rand Paul, and he repeatedly invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, and also declined to answer approximately 15 questions concerning the origins of COVID-19, the research funding, and also the federal government's pandemic response. I want to get into that. Hear the music, though. We're going to take another break. Dominique Sharpton, I'm sitting in for Rev, taking your calls. 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Breaking news. The issues, the stories affecting you. Now here's the news.
No justice! No justice! 62 years ago today, Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
It's the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they gotta open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughters started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself.
minutes after you gone is what you did for more than yourself. Think about this. Think about if today is your last day. If this is your last service, what can they say about me? And if you're not satisfied with your own answer, you should leave here today working on yourself and building on what you need to build. Because God is here. He's available to you if you but use what he's giving you to be more than self-indulgent. Now, I know many of us come with reasons we won't step out. But I come to tell you that's why God is here. God takes the ones that are the least likely and gets the most done. As I have seen in my life, people that were the unexpected and rejected are the ones that end up the greatest. So don't let whatever mistakes or whatever things that may be in your past hold you back. God is not trapped in your past. God is
Keeping
there
it
for your
real.
future.
I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter. I'm sitting here in for Rev today. Rev is home, successfully out of surgery. He tore his meniscus and had surgery on repairing it this morning. And Rev is doing well. I spoke with him briefly, and he's doing well, just getting some rest as we know he needs it. So that he can be with us tomorrow and get better. They put him under some anesthesia, so he is with us and will continue to just get stronger. But it's got to rest today, so we wish Rev a very speedy recovery and look forward to him getting back on the front lines with us as we are mobilizing all over the country for change. You can certainly join in on the conversation today by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, or you can join us and write your comments on the message board as folks are watching us all over the country via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. And certainly I want to pull up, as we've been in conversation about all of this today, certainly want to pull up thank you. Carol Ann Elliott said, Dominique, if America choose to rid itself of homelessness throughout the United States, it can very well process that. Sorry about that. My former occupation position was the homeless liaison coordinator through Dallas County Health and Human Services for 18 years. Wow. Where I experienced and provided hands-on services support for those individuals seeking another chance of opportunity to live self-sufficiently once again. All right now, America chose to ignore the suffering on its own soil to launch pillage of others on another soil. $10 to $10 to $25 billion is available to support the Homeless Foundation. But America turns its ugly head in the opposite direction to abandon it. Yes, sure. Yes, I hear you about that. And I also feel, I don't know if I believe it was Rick from Germany who mentioned this. But yeah, we've definitely have to understand the consequences of how of how the reallocation of these funds, how it goes, and how we are definitely on the brink of not understanding why a lot of our liberties and things that we are fighting for fall short. There's always a funding issue, right? There's always a lack of resource introduced into the conversation. And as we continue to hear activists speak up on their issues, we are often confronted with the fact that a lot of people, fall short because of, not because of the lack of advocacy or their lack of wanting to be heard or raise their voice. Or there's none of that. But it often, the conversation often includes, well, where's the funding coming from, and how are we going to get this done? And I feel like we are often shortchanged when it comes to, what we need in our community. There are forces that feel that their funds need to go be allocated towards other things, and I don't necessarily understand that. We've got to stick up for ourselves, and we've got to take care of our own. I feel if we are not strong internally, how can we then reach out and be strong for others? And so I feel like it's a total disgrace, and I feel like, we have to continuously raise the alarm to continue to fight for exactly what we need to get done and what we want. But as I was saying, we wanted to get into this conversation, and I know that folks on the message board was chiming in earlier, but Dr. Fauci repeatedly invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination and declined to answer about 15 questions, as I was stating, concerning the origins of COVID-19. He said that Senator Paul's repeated demands that he be prosecuted created a genuine danger, that anything he said could be used to bring criminal charges against him, including allegations that he made a false statement during this new hearing. Now, Senator Paul argued that Dr. Fauci had been pardoned by President Joe Biden, and therefore shouldn't be permitted to use the Fifth Amendment as a shield. And certainly the hearing became, sharply partisan, with Republicans accusing Dr. Fauci of avoiding accountability. And Democrats, of course, accusing Paul for conducting a politically motivated attack. Now, Dr. Fauci's attorney also suggested that the senator's conduct reflected retaliation rather than the impartial oversight. And, we have to be legally and morally disciplined here. So invoking the Fifth Amendment is not a confession, right? And the Constitution does not say that only guilty people may invoke the Fifth, but it does protect individuals from being forced to provide testimony that could expose them to criminal jeopardy. And this is also an important civil rights principle because, certainly we as Black Americans, I'm a Black American, but we know that, what happens when constitutional protections are treated as suspicious behavior. We have also fought against many coerced confessions, abused interrogations, prosecutorial misconduct, and also this idea that exercising your rights make you a guilty person. Now, we can't abandon this meaning of the Fifth Amendment simply because the witness is politically controversial. But saying that Dr. Fauci has a constitutional right does not mean that the public has no legitimate questions. So COVID-19 certainly, changed every aspect of American life. And people lost family members. I know 18 people that I was very close to who passed away during this time. Children, lost classroom time. Businesses were closed. Workers lost their jobs. Government officials, exercised extraordinary power. But, we have a right to understand what government officials knew and when they knew it, right? How these decisions were made, whether competing scientific viewpoints were even considered, whether the government funding that was supporting this was risky research, right? Whether certain public statements that were accurately, that were made were accurately reflective of the private discussions that were happening behind closed doors. So there's a lot of questions I feel that need to be answered, and I feel we have every right to hear the answers to them. Which decisions were solely based or were based in general on available evidence, and which were based on political pressure. And so those questions I feel should not be dismissed as conspiracy theories. I feel because some people asking them are also making very irresponsible accusations. And so, this central problem, I feel, is whether, this was a legitimate fact-finding hearing or a political prosecution. And certainly Senator Ryan Paul has publicly accused Dr. Fauci of wrongdoings for many years. And, he's also called for criminal consequences, and so that history raises a question about whether Dr. Fauci could reasonably believe that the chairman had already reached a verdict. And, oversight also requires these tough questions, but it also, I feel, requires a lot of accountability. 1-877-532-5797. Disco Brian, I see you holding on, listening to us from Philadelphia on WURD. Disco Brian, always a pleasure speaking with you. You are keeping it real. Good afternoon. Can't hear you, Disco.
Hello?
Hey, we can hear you now.
This is me, Still Bill.
Oh, hey, Still Bill. I'm sorry. Did they go to the wrong line? I always want to talk with you.
Yeah.
But let's go to Cincinnati on the buzz and talk to Still Bill. Still Bill, good afternoon, my brother.
All right. This is the day the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. And I will keep it real. How are you doing, Dominique?
I'm wonderful. How are you, my brother?
Oh, I'm doing great. The Lord is good.
All the time.
I heard about your father, and I wish him a speedy recovery. He deserves a well-deserved rest, very much. I mean, he is constantly on his feet, giving his message throughout the world that, love is the key. Hate is not included. And hate versus love, no contest at all.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump needs to see that. It's a thing where he is just doing anything and everything to push our buttons, to get our goat going and everything and all that. And the fact that people our color are holding up to this man like he's the second coming of Christ. I mean, worshiping him. And it makes me sick to my stomach. But you know what? I look at it like this. Every dog has his day.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just a matter of time where he ends up meeting the man upstairs, answering for all the stuff that he's done and everything and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And the people, especially our people, that sit up and worship this man, it just makes me sick.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to end it. But you know what, Dominique? You keep up the good work. You are just amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You and the Rev are just like peanut butter and jelly. Y'all go together. Y'all gel together.
Thank you so much.
And it just makes me feel proud that I am a proud black man. And yes, I am a Democrat. And yes, I am going to vote.
Yes.
And yes, I am going to wish Donald Trump the next 2 years to be totally out of there, and where he answers for all his sins and everything. But Dominique, you take it easy and continue to keep it real. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye. Joey. Oh. Hear the music. We're going to take a break. Joanne Kemp, it's political against Fauci, 12 years of education and $500,000 salary and a senior citizen. So Fauci wanted to what? Start a pandemic and make money? Sounds crazy to me, but thank you, Joanne Kemp. We're going to take a break. Dominique Sharpton sitting in for the Rev, taking your calls, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Breaking news. The issues, the stories.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement.
With respect to black culture, there is one person who has been doing this for decades. He has been supporting our communities. He's been fighting for our communities in the trenches. He's a fighter, he's a civil rights icon, and he's a visionary. The Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you. Right now in Washington, D.C., they're having on the National Mall the celebration of July 4th. But what they will not talk about is on July 4th, 1776, black people were slaves in this country. We were not part of the Declaration of Independence. But we celebrate tonight because 250 years later, we never stopped fighting, we never backed down, we took nothing and made something happen. If you want to celebrate something, celebrate that we built this nation on our backs and never got paid. They sing America the Beautiful. We made America beautiful. They say America the Great. We made America the Great. And we fought and we bled and we died to get the right to vote. And now Trump and them are trying to take that right. We fought too hard. We spent too many nights in jail. We're going to vote like we never voted before. Today, a group called the Patriots marched in Washington with Confederate flags. Well, on August 28th, Martin Luther King III and I are having a march in Washington on the day his father gave the I Have a Dream speech. I want everybody to be there. We're going to stand up and show the dignity of our people. We're going to show that we are going to never back down. We won't bend, buckle, no matter what they do in the Supreme Court. We're going to win in the court of opinion. And let me say this. Don't take for granted that you're here tonight. They tried to, in every way they could, criticize Essex, criticize Rich Lou Dennis, but they don't understand that the harder you hit us, the harder we fight back. We're the children of people that took nothing and made something happen. You can't beat us down. You can't turn us around. We will be the essence of what happens in our culture. Lastly, I've been at every Essence Festival since 1995. I came that year with my mentor, and we spoke. Well, he died in February of this year, but I want to continue what he taught us, because even when times look bad, even when they look dark, I remember what my mentor taught me, Reverend Jesse Jackson. He said, keep hope alive. Even if you can't figure it out, keep hope alive. Even if it doesn't look like you can make it, keep hope alive. In memory of Jesse Jackson, say that with me tonight. Let him know
on July 4th from New Orleans. Keep hope alive. 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 Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. Make some noise for the legend.
Voting rights.
Everyone look here.
Say it again, Miss Pearl. Voting rights. Voting rights. One more time, Miss Pearl.
Voting rights.
There we go. Voting rights.
Voting rights.
Voting rights.
Voting rights.
Voting rights.
When do we want it?
Now.
When do we need it?
Now.
Yesterday.
What do we want?
Voting rights.
When do we need it?
Now.
What do we want?
Voting rights.
When do we need it?
Now.
How you doing, sir? All right.
It's Claudette Williamson from Atlanta, Georgia. And the last time I saw Reverend Sharpton was in New York City at Sylvia's. And my sister and I pretended that we needed to go to the bathroom so we could go in and see him and say hi from a distance. I'm okay. You look great. My name is Claudette. New York City was Sylvia's.
Oh.
My sister told our house, can I get a picture? So we can see. Wave at you, and today I. Can I take a picture with you? Lisa? Yes, I'll take the picture. We're her children. Thank you all.
Reverend, it's really great to meet you. And were you in? It's an honor to meet you. Okay, come take a second. Thank you.
Meet you back there right quick while you momentum. One more, please.
I'm still exposed.
Oh my God.
How you doing? Oh, come on, man. I gotta get a phone. All right. Appreciate you, man. God bless you.
Have a good one, man.
Seven 532-5797. We are live. We are in the action, and we are certainly keeping it real. As I was talking before the break, I think that the civil rights movement, has always had to balance these two principles. First, powerful government officials must be accountable, and so we're going to Washington, D.C., ladies and gentlemen, on August 28th, on Friday, August 28th. We're going to the Lincoln Memorial every generation clearly has something at stake. And on August 28th, people from across the country will certainly gather at the Lincoln Memorial to defend voting rights and demand economic dignity and to call for a future that families certainly can afford. And I believe the March on Washington, Defend the Vote, is convened not only by National Action Network and the Drum Major Institute, and co-chaired obviously by Reverend Sharpton, Martin Luther King III, and Andrea Waters King. But this is a nonpartisan, interfaith, and intergenerational gathering. And there's so many organizations and partners who have come aboard and joined the efforts for the March on Washington, Defending the Vote on Friday, August the 28th. And it is open to people from every community. And certainly if you want to register and join us, you can go to that website, marchonwashington2026.com. But every eligible voter, and those who are eligible in the future should be able to not only cast a ballot and have a voice in the decisions that affect their life, but we need to be transparent about that process, and we need to be active about that process and what those solutions and resolutions look like for us. So it's one thing to call for something, to stand for something, but it's another thing to be actively involved in the pursuit of obtaining that and of fighting for that. And so I feel like, those who are really true to this, right, can attest to the fact that, yes, we've gone to Washington, D.C. We've stood on many different occasions calling for and advocating for our rights. But I feel like, that we can't back down. We've got to continue to stay committed. And our people, and if we believe that people deserve, fair wages, safe jobs, economic security, the ability to care for themselves and their families, that's not easy. That's not for the weak. You're talking about, standing up to a system who is, who has systemically oppressed people for generations. And so it's time, the time is critical and crucial. But I feel like also this strategy is also crucial, and the activity even more crucial. And so please make your travel plan, bring someone with you, join us in DC, August the 28th, and stand with us as we stand for each other, for you, for your family, for your future. And like I said, the civil rights movement has always had to balance two principles. One, first, powerful government officials must be accountable. And then second, obviously, constitutional rights must apply even to people we dislike, distrust, or suspect. We cannot support due process only when the accused person is on our side. And so this movement fought for rights that apply universally. And at the same time, I feel like we should not allow elite status. We should not allow scientific credentials or presidential pardons to place officials beyond scrutiny. And so accountability can't depend on someone's title, can't depend on someone's political party or professional reputation. I feel like we can defend the Fifth Amendment, Dr. Fauci, and still demand accountability. And so, those are not contradictory positions, folks. And I feel like, that is what is consistency under the Constitution. That's what it requires. But this Fauci hearing is not only about, one doctor or one senator. I think it exposes a much deeper crisis where millions of, especially Americans, no longer trust public health institutions. And I was talking to Attorney Jennifer Jones-Austin about this a little while back. But, certainly that breakdown didn't begin with just COVID, and certainly in Black communities, the distrust of the medical establishment has a very, very real history, remember the Tuskegee syphilis study, where Black men were deceived and denied poor and proper treatment We remember forced sterilization. We remember Henrietta Lacks, whose calls were used, whose cells were used for medical research without her informed consent. So, we remember hospitals where Black patients were ignored and undertreated or segregated. And so today, we continue to confront these racial disparities, and maternal mortality even, pain treatment, access to, specialists and life expectancy. So, when Black people say they have questions about medical institutions, the answer can't simply be trust the experts. Trust has to be earned. Trust has to be earned. And during the pandemic, health guidance changed as knowledge developed, and that is normal in science, right? But officials didn't always explain uncertainty too well, and sometimes a recommendation was presented, as settled when it was actually based on very limited evidence. And so, sometimes officials appeared reluctant to really admit mistakes because, they feared that admitting uncertainty would certainly fuel the misinformation but refusing to acknowledge uncertainty, I think can cause even more distrust. And so, people notice that. People notice when the message change. People notice when officials pretend, the earlier guidance, was never necessarily uncertain, but the public feels manipulated. And so, we have questions and we need those questions answered. And so, that is not something that, I feel like we should take for granted. I feel we need to speak up on that. And I feel we need to really amplify, that part of the discussion. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. Yes, we're going to get into that. James Mitchell, Nolan Wells' family reportedly filed legal requests to subpoena his social media accounts to gather information. We're going to get into that as well. And thank you. Hello, Facts. I see y'all in the message board. But certainly, I feel like, we are doing ourselves a disservice by not calling it out where it needs to be called out. Come on, let's keep it real. Hello. 1-877-532-5797. Do I have time to get to a call? Somebody talk to me. I want to talk.
No, let's go.
All right. We're going to take a break. Dominique Sharpton, I'm sitting in for Rev. Y'all call in and join in on the conversation. We are here, keeping it real. 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared.
forget where you come from and forget how you got there. And act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm gonna keep marching, I'm gonna keep agitating, and I'm gonna keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
Look at everything. I went a couple of nights to go to the Knicks game. They lost. Last night I said, I'm not even going down there. I'm going to go to bed. I got to fly to Hampton on to Chicago. And by halftime I said, man, they ain't going to win this game. They down 29 points. And somebody here today, you've been down. They counted you out. People say there's no way you come back. But I come to tell you, don't quit. For there's another half to play. And God will take you and let you win when the odds are against you. I know they talk about you, but preach anyhow. I know sometimes the pews are empty, but preach anyhow. And when you get up almost where you could win, I looked at it last night and Brunson took the shot. It looked like it was going in to win the game, but the shot hit the rim and all hope was gone. But then an African named Boyd OG just stretched through the crowd and he tipped in the winning shot. If you hold on, God will tip your win.
Reverend Sharpton, how do we begin to make peace with our past?
I don't think it's our obligation to make peace with our past. I think it's our obligation to learn from our past and to understand that soon we gonna be the past. I mean, a lot of us act like we gonna be permanent and that the past is the past. If we draw on the strengths of the past and uphold the dignity and the integrity of our people and then perform it at our highest level in our generation, as Dr. Moss said, that's our obligation. You know, one of the reasons that I've been so concerned about this cultural tone that we're in now is a lot of us have lost the dignity that our community has shown from Jamestown to now.
Keeping it real. Dominique Sharpton sitting in for Rev, taking your calls. Keeping it real. 1-877-532-5797. Disco Brian, are you there? Line 2. Listening to us from Philadelphia on WURD. I tried to get you on earlier, brother. But circling back to you, always a pleasure speaking with you, and I got to get your voice in on this conversation. So if you're there, you're keeping it real. Thank you for joining us. Good afternoon, Disco Brian.
A blessing to be here, and an early happy birthday to you Friday.
Thank you.
Is that right, Dominique?
Yes. My birthday is Friday. Thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah, I saw the pictures on Instagram. The dress you wore last night was fierce, and I just wanted to say, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. You know, I'm sure I got an invitation. I misplaced it. I'm teasing. I think it's amazing that your dad can celebrate with you and then have surgery the next day, and is he a machine, Dominique? Like what?
You know, and I'm feeling it. You know, I'll be 40 on Friday, and I'm like, my body is hurting. Can't hang out like I used to. But no, certainly I think it's important. And you know, I appreciate my dad for that, because he always, you know, was family orientated, and so you know he could be on the road and fighting the good fight, but he always, you know, even as we were little girls, Ashley and I, he would make it home. We would play Monopoly and Uno together, and we would have game night, and we always, you know, kind of made him, you know, incorporated that family structure. And I think that's why, you know, and it is important, and it is, you know, a blessing to have family and to have community. And I feel like, you know, I'm a blessed gal, because I've always been entrenched in what that looks like and what that feels like. And so it made me fearless, you know, and you know, we have to, you know, stumble on the block, right, a couple of times, Disco, before we can, you know, learn our lessons. And so I've stumbled, absolutely, as anyone else has. But it's been the entrenched faith and the strong community, I feel, that's been instilled in me, that, you know, perseveres and keeps us going. You know, we got a lot of work to do, and I want to be committed to that work. And so, yeah, we ain't got time to be, you know, sitting around talking about what we can do. We got to get involved, and we got to do it.
Dominique, you probably know I'm a pathetic music nerd, and so I study charts and stuff. Do you know the #1 songs on the pop charts and the black charts when you were born?
When I was born? Probably Michael Jackson.
Yeah, the day you were born. Well, no. The #1 song on the Hot 100 on Billboard was "Sledgehammer" by Peter Gabriel, and #1 on Billboard Black Singles chart was "Tasty Love" by Freddie Jackson.
Freddie Jackson.
Those are two. Yeah, "Tasty Love." Those are two songs that brilliantly reflect your arrival into the world. You're both a sledgehammer of talent and truth, and everybody can taste your love because it just flows out. It's beautiful.
I love that. I received that.
I think you should play
Thank
those
you for
songs
that. I sure will.
Yeah. On politics, Ms. Dominique, no sooner than Zelensky left the White House did Trump just announce that he will not consider any more support for Ukraine until 2029. I mean, you know, we've all known that Putin owns Trump. Perhaps Zelensky and Europe will now conclusively know. And, you know, it's funny, Dominique. Flattery only seems to get you so far with Trump on two leaders in the world. Only whenever it comes to Putin or President Xi of China. You know, you can suck up to Trump and he'll give you, you know, your little rewards. But when it comes to his relationship with Putin and President Xi, you can't really violate that. I think they both have something over him. Does that land for you?
I'm hearing you. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
It's hot.
So, you know, relatedly, I want to quote a tweet from a black Democratic congressman from February 27th, 2022, just days into Russia's war on Ukraine. And here it is. The DSA and Tucker Carlson have joined forces to form a pro-Putin axis in American politics, an axis of useful idiots. Fact.
Wow.
DSA called for U.S. withdrawal from NATO, which would be a gift to Vladimir Putin. Fact. Tucker Carlson referred to Russia's invasion of Ukraine as a border dispute. We are witnessing a new coalition of the unhinged, end quote. That is from Bronx Congressman Richie Torres, who just won his primary by 50 points. Now, Dominique, I've got a proposition, and I don't know if you can work on your dad's heart, but I know your dad has Richie Torres' number. I know that he's shown up at NAN over the years. And I also know that your dad has the phone numbers of Van Jones, who got a Triumph Award in 2019, as well as Mayor Mamdani, as well as Daria-Lisa Chevalier. And so what I was thinking, Dominique, is now that everybody from Van Jones to Tabitha Speaks, who just put up her latest video called DSA Wants to Destroy the Democratic Party, perhaps now would be a perfect time for the public to witness someone as fair and judicious and favored by all four of these folks as your father. There wouldn't seem to be a more ideal person to moderate a much-needed dialogue of this magnitude on this topic than your dad. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to ask him directly, but I thought I'd throw it to you because I'm sure you know how to work some heartstrings. But I just think it would be amazing to have those individuals, instead of like screaming into their bubbles, like actually addressing each other respectfully. And it would be a fascinating conversation.
I agree.
I don't know. I mean, you don't have to.
I agree. I agree with that. I agree that, and I agree with the transparency. I also agree with the coalition. I feel like, that coalition building is very powerful and very needed in this moment. And I feel like we've got to amplify that, through and through. That coalition building is a very powerful tool. And the more we tap into that, the better off we'll be in terms of, coming together. We have to respect everyone's opinions, but we also need to strategize in this moment. I think strategy is key. And I think coalition, really complements that strategy to get us to where we need to go, on the right track at least.
Well, you are a blessing, Miss Dominique, and have a beautiful birthday. And don't
you.
Party too hard. And if you do invite me, I'm just teasing. Much love and
I hope to
blessings.
see you at the march, though, on August 28th. I don't know if you'll be in D.C., but okay. Well, thank you for that, Disco Brian. And as always, thank you for keeping it real. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Thank you all. Yes. What exactly is the solution for Black people? That is a very loaded question. I feel like our solutions begin and start with us. And so I do remember that song, The Man in the Mirror. And I know that, that song, has really, amplified in this moment, because we need to look at ourselves and really decide, what are we committed to, how far are we committed to go, and how much are we committed to doing. And I feel like, it's really going to, where's my sister Anita when you need her, with the spiritual talk and really connecting spirituality into this, and, having a good faith moment. But I feel like, beyond having the moment, I believe that, we as a people have endured so much. And I feel like, our faith is what keeps us grounded and will continue to lead us forward. And even, okay, and as we're talking about Dr. Fauci in this hearing and so many other things, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, is calling on Senator Mitch McConnell, Disco Bryant, to directly demonstrate that he remains capable of serving or resign his Senate seat. And so I didn't bring that into the conversation yet, but y'all know McConnell is 84 years old. He's remained in a rehabilitation facility, following this fall that, in June, that reportedly left him briefly unconscious. And he later experienced, some pneumonia, hasn't been really medically cleared to leave rehab. But his office released, photographs and stuff. And basically saying, whether he can speak, or make decisions or participate in votes, and fully fulfill his constitutional responsibilities still in question. But Bashir also urged the Senate leadership to examine his capacity if the senator doesn't personally address the public. And, McConnell has missed votes in public events. People are saying, well, where is he? And certainly, we must be careful, not to make this an argument about age alone. But, there are people in their 80s who are highly capable, active, and mentally sharp, hello. And there are people decades younger now, come on, who may even be unable to, perform demanding duties because of illness or injury. So this ain't about age. But the proper question, is functional capacity. And so we want to know, can the senator understand the legislation? Can he communicate his decisions? Can he independently direct his staff? Can he vote? These are all things that, standard, but simply the number of birthdays someone has celebrated. Hello, Disco Bryant. Shouldn't obviously, define their competency. So wanted to also bring that into conversation. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And yes, every person deserves dignity and some degree of medical privacy. Absolutely. Including public officials. Hello. But the public is not automatically entitled to every diagnosis, every medication and intimate medical detail. Even y'all remember how y'all was talking about President Biden. Y'all remember when and he continued to lead the country for, and so a lot of this is, I think it is a lot of talk. But at the end of the day, we've got to, can you hold, can you hold your own? Can you stand up and do your part? And that's, really what it comes down to. And as I said, this is all also about, trust, and we have a real issue with trust. And so absolutely, definitely raising questions, agreed to that. And we can't, we can't be defining things just because the man is old, or just because we feel, someone is an elder, with a lot of responsibilities and things going on. So let's not jump to those conclusions, but let's be tactful in our approach, in our strategy, in our activities. As we know, we got a lot of work to do, and we definitely need those who can, really determine successfully, what's going on in this country, how we're being governed. There's a lot of legislation, a lot of things going on that we need. And so, yes, competency matters, but age is definitely not a factor in that. And so I don't want to mislead conversation there. But thank you so much for your call and for keeping it real. We're taking your calls, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
33-year-old preacher without a church.
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or
Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, the Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them. Now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old. With the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
That I want to end. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
Don't take it back.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected. If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't have worked. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to the knee bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If we are to prophesy to the wind, we must first connect this body. We must connect Eddie Long to Farrakhan and Cornel West to Elders and Lowry to Sharpton. If we can connect this body, then God will blow the breath of life into our community. But as long as we are disconnected, the wind can't blow because it's blowing on disconnected dry bones. But the good news is that we're the children of people that have been through worse than this, and we're still here. So even though I get despondent, I don't ever get depressed, because I want the world to know you won't beat us, because we're the children of those that took the worst form of slavery and brutality that ever lived, that ever existed. Our parents survived the Middle Passage. Only the strong got here, and then we lost our name, our culture, our religion, and we're still here. But you don't know who we are. We're the children of Chaka Zulu. We're the children of Mary McLeod Bethune. We're the children of Marcus Garvey. We're the children of Martin Luther King. We'll be here. We were first and we'll be last. We know who we are.
Live from the National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York, keeping it real. And now, America's #1 civil rights leader, the Reverend Al.
You're live, ma'am.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter. I'm sitting in today for Rev. Rev is home recovering after a successful surgery where he got his meniscus repaired, and he doctors ordered for Rev to be out just for the day, and certainly, you know, he is having a hard time hey, just resting and relaxing. He done called many times and spoken to us, continuing to, give us orders and tell us what he wants done and ask us what we doing and how we doing it. And Rev is involved, and Rev is continuously on the move. And we certainly pray for Rev's speedy recovery, and he will be back with us momentarily. But we certainly are praying for him and love you, Rev. And certainly we're here keeping it real for you, keeping it real with you. And you can join in on the conversation today. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. As you are there on the website, as those are watching and tuning in to us via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net, make sure you know that marching on Washington, we are heading to Washington, D.C. on Friday, August the 28th, and we want everyone to join us who possibly can. I was talking with Disco Brian about coalition building, and we've got to continue to build this coalition. I think it's really important and it's really pivotal in this moment as we are continuously coming together, strategizing, mobilizing, organizing, and being actively involved in not only advocating the issues, but really confronting them head on. And so we are committing to going to Washington, D.C. to stand in the face of adversity, to stand in the face of, those who are, trying to dismantle diversity, education, and inclusion. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, those who are trying to dismantle education reform, those who are trying to dismantle how we get adequate and quality health care for all Americans, those who are trying to dismantle our right to vote and trying to disparage us from being able to exercise our duty, our right, our privilege, and that is to vote, to exercise our rights in a way where we, the people, decide who is placed in power to govern us and who gets to, make those decisions to impact Americans all across the board in terms of how we can really, really strive for equal opportunity, for resources, for a better America and a better future for all of us and certainly for our children. And so we believe in economic dignity. We believe in economic security. We believe in affordability. We believe in really elevating, our voice in these decisions that affect our life. So please join us in Washington, D.C. You can go to marchonwashington2026.com and get all the information about the march on August 28th. We will be marching in D.C., in Washington, D.C., and we want you to join us. 1-877-532-5797. Tommy from Chicago, I see you holding on. Let's get Tommy in. You're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ms. Sharpton, and for me it's always great to hear your voice, and the reason why I say that is because for everyone my age of 74 years old, they lived the entire civil,
74
lived the entire civil,
wow, Brother Tommy, God bless you.
Well, thank you for that, but I say that because I had the audacity to call your father on the phone and call myself challenging him, right? And what he said to me, what he would say to me very eloquently, not sarcastically or anything else, because that's who Rev is. He would say to me, he asked me, was I involved in any organizations? And when I said no, he says, well, when you do, call me back. And what I would turn around and do is get involved in ministry. And not only did I get involved in ministry, but I tried to make sure to pattern myself, my conversation after Reverend Al, which was basically keep it short, know what you're talking about, and be real. And I say all of this not to be long-winded, Dominique, but to tell you that every word that this man has spoken throughout the years of my life, from the Koch brothers to developing the youth at the National Action Network, to being stabbed, to constantly refuting comments of he's just a glory seeker, a glory hound. I say all of these things because every word this man has said over the years have come true, a watchman. We keep asking for the evidence of, is God real? We keep asking for, is there something greater in this world than ourselves? And we have to manufacture anthrax, and we have to manufacture atomic energy to kill millions of individuals, and all he does is stir up the wind, shake the ground, move the water, and all of a sudden we begin to recognize and understand and cry out, just have mercy.
Have mercy.
So this is the moment in time that this country should have mercy. Mercy because it takes away your misery. Why? Because it isn't like you wasn't told. Reverend Al Sharpton, from the moment he has been on the airwaves to this moment, a man who's not big enough to not even forget the small people. He comes and he talks. I met him out, signed his book. And then the individual got the audacity to say, I support Reverend Al Sharpton. I don't support Reverend Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton is God's man. And if he's God's man, he's my man. And everything that he has said has come true. So let me just end it. Here we are in 2026, and you still have to tell someone about the process of, if you don't vote, there is no hope.
That's right.
That's why I love Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, because in closing in my ministry, I had the opportunity, Dominique, to sit in the pulpit with your father, Reverend Jesse Jackson. I don't care whose name you want to call or where you want to come from. Was tutored by the pastor Donald L. Parsons, second man in the United States after C.L. Franklin. Aretha Franklin, you name it, came. But what I'm trying to tell you is the names ain't important. What is important is, as I end for the last time, I once was an ignorant man until I found myself in a situation over in Vietnam that all I could do was cry out. And when I cried out, I got back to this side of the world. That's when I got in trouble. That's when I became to recognize and understand. Either embrace your culture, understand your history, know your plight, or keep on doing what we've been doing, which is what? Talking and doing nothing. I love you, Dominic. I truly do. I truly love you, girl, because I have watched you grow from conception to where you are now.
Tommy,
Thank
my
you.
brother, be blessed.
Something happened.
Thank you so much. Keeping it real. We're going to take a break. Dominique Sharpton, I'm sitting in for Rev. You still have time to call in and join the conversation. 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Both in my life, both historic, strong figures. But if I misuse them and listen to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes end up making you a joke.
I've been to the Area 6 Festival since 1995. I came that year with my mentor and we spoke. Well, he died in February this year, but I want to continue what he taught us. Because even when times look bad, even when they look dark, I remember when my mentor taught me, Reverend Jesse Jackson. He said, keep hope alive. Even if you can't figure it out, keep hope alive. Even if it doesn't look like you can make it, keep hope alive. And Reverend Jesse Jackson said that with me tonight. Let him know on July 4th from New Orleans, keep hope alive. 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 Thank you, God bless.
It gets dark sometimes, but the morning comes. Don't you surrender. Suffering breeds character. Character breeds faith. In the end, faith will not disappoint. You must not surrender. You may or may not get there, but just know that you're qualified and you hold on and hold out. We must never surrender. America will get better and better. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. On tomorrow night and beyond. Keep hope alive. I love you very much. I love you very much.
First, I want to thank you personally for writing a foreword to this book, Reverend. I wanted to write a book that was different from the many books that have been written about my dad, which I'm always very
When he came to go speak at the UN, he said, I'd first go to Harlem to see those that fought for me.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we keep it hung up in the house.
It's a great photo.
I remember I was 12 years old. I was a boy preacher in the Church of God in Christ. Bishop Sheard knew my bishop, Bishop Washington. Bishop Washington, my mother was concerned I was getting into politics. They brought us to Reverend William Jones. His daughter's traveling with us. And Reverend Jones introduced me to Jesse Jackson. I became his youth director in New York at 13. I liked Reverend Jackson because he was a little hipper than the older preachers. He was 27, I was 13 by the time I became youth director. So he was like a father figure to me. When I got about 40, he said, quit calling me father, call me big brother. We went to the car center, and James Meeks and Jesse Jr. and I had dinner with him that night. And that's where he said to us, Al, Meeks, Jesse Jr., y'all are my disciples. And we said, disciples? And for years we joked each other. I'd come in the room and Junior say, here's disciple number one. But discipleship meant you carried forth the vision. The next day, he took me on the ferry to Goree Island, Mrs. Jackson. On Goree Island, he showed me where the slave camps were. And I will never forget, he said, Al, you see what that artifact is? I said, what's that? He said, they call it the door of no return. When you go through that door, you either made it to America to slavery, or you died in the Atlantic. The door of no return. But I talked to him about 3 years ago, and I reminded him, I said, remember when you brought me to the door of no return? He said, yeah. I said, well, we did return. We returned the President of the United States, Barack Obama. We returned the Vice President, Kamala Harris. We returned with businessmen. They thought they sent us as slaves. We came back as global liberators. The problem is that too many of us did not join the movements that sponsored us. And there was a breakout in 2024 called Negro Amnesia, where you forgot where you came from and forgot how you got where you got. Therefore, they're trying to take back everything you had.
Where's oh, I see I'm in today's New York Times word puzzle, and they're asking what is Al Sharpton's title for short. It's Rev. I didn't know everybody knew that. But the people in the New York Times, they should call me Rev. They should call me Reverend. No.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Dominique Sharpton sitting in for Rev. Taking your calls. 1-877-532-5797. And you know, Tommy from Chicago. And certainly, we do honor elders because they carry history. We honor the wisdom and relationships, obviously, that, can't be replaced. And I feel that, honoring elders does not mean preventing younger ones or younger leaders, right, from growing. And certainly at National Action Network, one of our responsibilities is really to connect generations, to allow veterans of the movement to mentor young activists. While also giving, emerging leaders real authority. And so, and healthy institutions, don't depend entirely on one person. They develop leadership pipelines. And that's why NAN's youth initiatives, chapter development, next generation engagement certainly matter. We're not replacing history. We're preparing people, young people, to carry history forward. And, one of the things that was a very prominent in discussion this past Monday at Nan's Youth Huddle was the Nolan Wells case. And certainly all of us have been in tune with this situation, this case, and as the private investigation, continues and is underway, as we've already received and heard findings from what was found in the second autopsy. There are certainly facts, and we're discussing this at Huddle, that have, been publicly established. And there are allegations obviously made by the family that have come out and denials from individuals who were present. And there are theories circulating online that have not yet been proven. And we were really talking about this. Young people very engaged and involved in this situation, because we just simply want to know what happened to this young man. What happened, and we owe Nolan's family a real serious search for truth, and we also have to avoid publicly convicting people, obviously, before the evidence has been tested. But want to certainly raise that his family has now issued subpoenas online, on social media, to Snapchat and WhatsApp and TikTok and Meta and Life 360. And these subpoenas seek usernames and account details and communications, and activity records, location information, IP addresses, and other digital evidence as the family, became concerned after Nolan's phone was returned and his Snapchat accounts reportedly appeared to contain no photos or videos. Now, the friends on his trip have denied that anyone tampered with Nolan's device or deleted this information. And the subpoenas are part of, this independent investigation led by the family's attorneys. And the family is also seeking to reconstruct what happened before Nolan disappeared and what occurred after the others left the island. Now, digital evidence can also reconstruct a timeline in ways that human memory can't. So, phone records can show who communicated with Nolan, when messages were sent, or opened. There's a timestamp, right? Whether these accounts were accessed after he disappeared. So that can also, tell us that. The location of a phone or a device, whether media was uploaded or deleted or preserved. And then certainly whether, stories that were told by witnesses match the digital timestamps. But we must understand something important here, and missing content does not automatically prove, deliberate deletion, but some social media content disappears automatically. And those who have, social media accounts understand that. But applications, can be also be configured not to save the media. And a phone can contain less information than, the company's servers, but all of this is precisely why subpoenas matter. And these platforms that may possess records that are not visible on the physical phone certainly needs to be investigated. And so, and many suspicious or unexplained, this certainly families feel, they must become investigators. And so, we definitely understand, where this is all coming from. But too often, families also believe that official urgency increases only after the media attention, the protests, the organizations, the civil rights groups become involved. And that perception didn't just appear out of nowhere, obviously. It reflects many generations of unequal concern, over what victims receive immediate attention and whose families are treated as credible. So National Action Network certainly plays a crucial role, and we don't replace police or prosecutors or forensic experts, but obviously we can demand transparency, equal treatment, and accountability. So, in this situation, as it continues to develop, and, the family is not asking, for the public to manufacture this conclusion, but they're asking that every available record be preserved, be examined, be compared to the stories that have been told, because this is, about getting to the bottom of it, and certainly you drawing a succinct and clear timeline as to what happened to Nolan, and why is it that, his body was found washed up days after he went on a trip with friends. just doesn't make sense. 1-877-532-5797. Raj from Cleveland is holding on. Let's get you in. You're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Hey, nice to speak with you, Dominique. Nice. Thanks for taking my call. And I know the end of the month, your birthday is at the end of the month.
Friday. The last day of the month.
Oh, Friday?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. I didn't get a chance to wish you happy birthday last year, but happy early birthday. See,
Thank
the reason
you.
why I remember because we are the ushers of the month of July, you and me, because I bring in the month. I usher it in on the first of the month, first day, and you usher it out. So
yes,
that's why I remembered that. Yeah, but but I was thinking we might have to expedite the process of designating a third month toward Black history or the Black experience in America. The reason why I say that is because with all these unjustified deaths and wrongful murders and deaths by perpetrated against African Americans by law enforcement, just random people, white people or people other ethnic groups against African Americans, it's because a lot of them, even when you look lately, are either being covered up or just not being held, not finding justice.
Yeah, not being held accountable for sure. Yes.
Yeah, because I just saw. I didn't realize there were three other African American girls or young ladies that came up dead. One was found in the woods. They think her boyfriend, I guess she was dating a white guy. They think, I guess it looks like he took her in the woods and
my God,
did away with her. And then there was another young lady. She was on a trip in Africa, and then she was unalived by her white boyfriend. And then there was one down in North Carolina, same situation, but they found her hanging on the church grounds. See, and then that's not counting the guys. There was, or the other lady. She was the one they say she fell off the balcony. She was the only black lady at the trip at the one. And then they said, oh, all those people was there. They said, we don't know what happened. We same thing, with the Nolan Wales. Nobody knew what happened.
Right.
And then now you got the cops. They don't know what happened. That one black kid, he was down in Alabama. They found his body burned and dismembered. And there's no answers in that case.
No accountability.
Then the little 1 year, the 1 year old boy got killed, got shot, and found out the mother. The cops shot through the car, killed the boy, and found out they thought she was still in Pampers. Found out she had a receipt.
All right, Raj, I gotta take this break. This music is playing, so we gotta hold on. Thank you so much for raising that. We're gonna take this break. Dominique Sharpton, St. M for Rev. We'll be right back. More Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be.
2 minutes after you gone is what you did for more than yourself. Think about this. Think about if today is your last day. If this is your last service, what can they say about me? And if you're not satisfied with your own answer, you should leave here today working on yourself and building on what you need to build. Because God is here. He's available to you. If you but use what he's giving you to be more than self-indulgent. Now, I know many of us come with reasons we won't step out. But I come to tell you that's why God is here. God takes the ones that are the least likely and gets the most done. As I have seen in my life, people that were the unexpected and rejected are the ones that end up the greatest. So don't let whatever mistakes or whatever things that may be in your past hold you back. God is not trapped in your past. God is there for your future. And he's there that every day you wake up was a divine decision he made to give you another opportunity to serve.
I've been in the area since festival, since 1995. I came that year with my mentor, and we spoke. Well, he died in February this year, but I want to continue what he taught us, because even when times look bad, even when they look dark, I remember when my mentor taught me, Reverend Jesse Jackson. He said, keep hope alive. Even if you can't figure it out, keep hope alive. Even if it doesn't look like you can make it, keep hope alive. In memory of Jesse Jackson, say that with me tonight. Let him know on July 4th from New Orleans, keep hope alive. 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 Thank you, God.
It gets dark sometimes, but the morning comes. Don't you surrender. Suffering breeds character. Character breeds faith. In the end, faith will not disappoint. You must not surrender. You may or may not get there, but just know that you're qualified and you hold on and hold out. We must never surrender. America will get better and better. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. On tomorrow night and beyond. Keep hope alive. I love you very much. I love you very much.
But Reverend, it looks bad now. Look at Iran. Look at what's going on in Minnesota. Look on. Yeah, but I was raised by them to realize that after storms, if we do the right thing in the storm, if we organize, if we register, if we do what we're supposed to do, there's always a rainbow coming out. The rainbow don't show until the storm is over. The rainbow gonna come out in November. The rainbow gonna come out in 28. We gonna fix these tricks in 26 and march through the gates in 28. We didn't come this far to turn around now. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back.
Everyone look here.
Say it again, Ms. Pearl.
Voting rights. Voting rights.
One more time, Ms. Pearl.
Voting rights.
There we go.
Voting rights.
Voting rights.
Voting rights.
Voting rights.
Voting rights.
When do we want it?
Now. When do we need it?
Now. Yesterday.
What do we want?
Voting rights.
When do we need it?
Now.
What do we want?
Voting rights.
When do we need it?
Now.
No justice! No justice! 62 years ago today, Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
Is the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Dominique Sharpton sitting in for Rev. Talking to y'all all across the country. It's always a pleasure speaking with you and learning from you and dialoguing with you. We've got to keep our feet involved, keep our eyes and ears on the front lines for justice, and we've got to be about what we say we're going to be about, and we've got to do what we say we are going to do. Is Raj still with us?
No.
All right. But Brother Raj, thank you for raising that as you went through countless of victims, people of color who, whose lives matter essentially, and who and where accountability and justice, was not something that unfortunately was ever seen or heard of in these instances. And, certainly with the Nolan Wells situation, and at the center of all of this, is not a viral recording or a subpoena or a social media debate. But at the center of this is really an 18-year-old young man whose family is grieving and asking what happened to their child. And certainly, we have to resist allowing Nolan Wells to become only a headline or a mystery for people to debate online. Black families have repeatedly had to fight for basic answers. We've been told to wait. We've been told to not make the case political. We've been told that questions and asking questions means that we're attacking law enforcement. We've been told to accept incomplete explanations before all the evidence was available. We have seen mothers and fathers and siblings literally transform their grief into activism because no institution treated their loss with the urgency they believed it deserved. Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Eric Garner, Ahmaud Arbery. The list goes on and on and on. And what justice that we see it and know it to believe in it doesn't just begin with an arrest. Justice begins with a real adequate search. It means preserving evidence. It means interviewing witnesses promptly and separately. It means not assuming that a young Black man was reckless, responsible for his own disappearance, or less deserving of concern. And justice means communicating honestly with the family. And so I feel like, justice also means following the evidence even when it leads somewhere uncomfortable. And justice also means not accusing people without proof. And this is essential to the work that National Action Network does. And NAN exists not only for the cases that become national hashtags. We're present when families feel powerless against institutions. Our work is to really amplify these voices and demand transparency and make sure that the system applies the same urgency and standard to every single family. And we must also remind people that civil rights advocacy is not an anti-law enforcement. That's not what it is. And proper investigation certainly protects everyone, and it protects the victim's family, and it protects innocent witnesses from false accusations, and it protects the integrity of any future prosecution. And it helps to really restore public trust. That word trust comes up again and again and again and again. And so the civil rights movement, is at its heart, Disco Bryant, a demand that every life be assigned equal value. That means the disappearance of a Black teenager must receive urgency. The grief of a Black mother must be respected, of a Black father must be respected, and the questions of a Black family must not be treated as an inconvenience. But our demand for equal value must also include equal justice, it must include evidence, and it must include due process. So we don't seek a predetermined outcome. That's not what we are saying here. We seek the truth. We seek the truth and the confidence that every legitimate path to that truth was pursued. And, today we've discussed, war. We've discussed constitutional rights, public health, political leadership, and certainly the death of a young Black man, Nolan Wells. And these stories may appear unrelated in retrospect, right? But each one certainly comes back to the same fundamental questions. Who has the power? Who is being held accountable? Whose voice is heard? Whose life is valued? And certainly whether these institutions created to serve the people, our people, we the people, are operating with transparency and fairness and respect. But that is why we keep asking the questions. That is why we organize. That is why NAN continues to stand in the gap, and so many other organizations that we lift up and we amplify and we respect, standing in the gap, not being silent, not allowing complacency to control us. That's why every day we must be prepared to keep it real. And that is why every day we must continue to make that commitment, to stand up, to speak out, to be unapologetic in defining who we are. And we all need to really make that definition for ourselves. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I in this struggle? Who am I in this movement? Who am I in this neighborhood? Who am I in this community? Who am I? And how can my contributions really impact change? And how can I be counted amongst those who were unapologetic in their stance for freedom, for justice, for equality? You too have to make that commitment, just as I did, just as my son will have to make. We all have to make that commitment, and we all have to come to that realization at some point as we're doing this work. And so that's why marching on August 28th is important, because it continues to not only symbolize the coalition, the power of unity, the power of action, the power of not being complacent, but it also ignites us to really continue to move forward and do the work. And when they say, and when they talk about, when history records itself, And they say, well, on August 28th in the year 2026, when all these things were happening, there was a group of activists who stood committed to stand up for what's right, to stand up for what's just, who convened on, platforms that amplify Black voices like Keeping It Real, who convened at in mobilization efforts and held rallies all across the country, from the House of Justice to the House of Rainbow Push to the House of NAACP to the House of the National Urban League to the House of the Lawyers Committee for Justice to the House of the National Coalition of Black Civic Participation to the House of the National Negro Women to the House of the Links Incorporated and the Zeta Phi Beta Incorporated and the House of the AKAs and the Deltas and the Who's Who and the Booba Cools. We got to be who we say we are, and we've got to continue to come together to raise and amplify our voices for progressive change. It's been a pleasure always keeping it real with y'all. Thanks to all those who called in and got through and raised your voice today with us. And remember, every Saturday and Sunday, Politics Nation with Al Sharpton begins live at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. You don't want to miss it on MS Now. And also this Saturday's Action Rally with Reverend Al Sharpton begins live at 9 o'clock a.m. live from the House of Justice in Harlem. And as Reverend Sharpton says, whatever you do, wherever you go, and however you feel, make sure you tell someone. He told you, Dominique has told you, y'all got to keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. We'll talk with you tomorrow.